Hey everybody, Garrett with Gravitee here with another tutorial. Today we're going to be going over the Developer Portal. This is a super important part of full lifecycle API management. It's our direct connection with our developers that allows them to not only subscribe and utilize our APIs that we're putting out, but also to read our documentation or let us know about any issues they may be having. So today we're going to be going over each individual section of the developer portal. Then we're going to talk a little bit about what setting options we have and what we can do to mitigate some user management profiles. And then we're going to be talking a little bit about how to customize and brand to your brand. So without further ado, I'll get out of your way. Let's get started. All right, like I said, we're going to be going over the developer portal and a little bit about the individual pieces and kind of what it is. So let's go ahead and open it up real quick. And it takes us to our homepage. At the very beginning, you're greeted with this branded homepage. We can see we've got it branded for Gravitee. We've got this kind of header note here that we can change and update in our settings. And I'll show you how to do that a little bit later. And we've got the ability to search for some APIs. And we can see the APIs that we've kind of exported and actually pushed to our developer portal. So let's go over each individual one of these kind of menu options, and we'll talk about what it is. Quickly, in summary, we've got our dashboard. Our dashboard shows us our list of applications that we have available to us. These are applications that we've created and actually registered on the platform. To do that, our developers can click Create an Application and go through the process to be able to register an application and eventually consume APIs inside of that application or with that application. We produced 3 or created 3. We've got our default application, we've got a producer for Kafka, and we've got a consumer for Kafka. We can also see a quick view of the subscriptions that we have. These are any applications themselves and which API they're actually subscribed to. So it's a very quick way to kind of audit and take a look and see which applications we have running and which applications are consuming an API. If we were paying for any sort of these plans, that would come in really handy for us to be able to see and notice what we were basically using or subscribing. Next up, we have our catalog. Our catalog is a list of APIs, and sometimes right here there's the option to see categories or break it up into different API types. I've taken that away because I like the category view better. That's a setting that we can change, so I can show you how to do that as well. But inside of our catalog, we'll notice we have a new one called Birdwatch API. That's what we're using to kind of show documentation here today, as well as our other ones, Parrot, Echo, and Pigeon. So these are the APIs that we can actually see and subscribe to. We can see which ones are featured, if there were any that were featured, as us as a API producer could feature those. We can see any that were starred, basically giving a review to API. We can see which ones are running and which ones are trending or most commonly used. And we can see that we've used Pigeon in the last week. So it shows us a list of all APIs, featured APIs, whatever we kind of want to put out as a producer. This is where our developers would be able to go and explore those APIs. Next up is our applications. Applications are similar to dashboard here, where we can see our applications that we have registered, but this gives us the opportunity to just see only applications, see how many we have on the page. We can create a new application directly right here, and we can click on My Subscriptions to view our subscriptions. After that, we have documentation. This is empty, but we could give overall documentation in the documentation section of the console settings. And I'll show you where we could do that, where we could give, let's say we had multiple APIs underneath the same organization. We could show those different APIs and different documentation for those APIs right here. Then we have our general settings where we have our accounts. Here's mine. Contact, which gives us an opportunity to have people contact us if there's any issues. We could see our tickets because we're the manager of this API, and we can actually split this so we have admin and consumers in as far as customer management goes. If you've got the professional or the enterprise account, it allows you to split that. Then we can see down here notifications, any notifications of anybody who's subscribed, as well as a sign out option to sign out of the portal. Sorry, I keep jumping off of it. Sign out option to sign out of the portal. We can also click back on this to get all the way back to the beginning of our portal. So with that out of the way, let's move over and let's talk a little bit about our management options. Here inside of our API management console, this is kind of where we start, standard. We can click on one of our applications, doesn't really matter which one. We're going to use Birdwatch today because I want to show a couple things. We're going to go through how to register documentation. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to go to documentation. And you can see there's no pages yet. But new in v4.2, what we can do is we can add documentation. So I'm going to just click here and add new page. I'm going to name it Birdwatch Docs. And then we're going to make it public so that everybody can see it. Next, I've went ahead and created some false documentation for this application that we've got out. So let me grab that real quick. It gives just basic information about rate limits and other things. And since we're carrying on the bird watching theme, this is a fake website, by the way. Don't call this. It won't actually work. This is just for demonstration purposes today. That's the whole reason I built it. And we've got that disclaimer down here at the bottom. Please don't send anything to support. I don't know who that will go to, but it won't be me. So let's just keep that in mind. We're going to save this and publish it. And as we kick out, we can go back to our developer portal. So we can open in developer portal. And we can see now that we have documentation. And the quick way to find that, just so you know, or to navigate through kind of the hard way if we were exploring it as a customer, I'd come out here to my catalog, and I'd click on View API on Birdwatch. This is the same way I would subscribe if I were wanting to push this to an application, attach it to an application, and actually consume it. But once we're inside this view, we can go to documentation, and we can see all those docs we just added. So it's super easy and super nice for us to be able to allow our developers to read documentation about our specific API directly in the API as they're kind of exploring it inside of our console. So it's always good to add documentation there. I can add a bunch of different pages. We can see this is only one page. I could go add 2 or 3 or 4 more pages if I had multiple different endpoints that I wanted to hit inside of this documentation or inside of this API. So this is probably my favorite feature when it comes to the developer portal, because it allows me to read very quickly as a developer and understand what's happening very quickly without ever leaving, and I can choose to subscribe to my API right then and there. Let's hop back over into the console though, and let's talk a little bit about our settings. If we come over to our side dashboard here, and we come to settings, we see up here at the top portal. It shows us analytics, portal information, API quality, authentication, categories, client registration, all that kind of stuff. Client registration, like I said, if you're running the pro version and you've got a client registration provider using OpenID Connect dynamic client registration, you literally just add that provider and enable it. And now whenever anybody wants to go use one of your APIs, they actually have to register and sign in so you can attach basically the person and their identity to the apps they're creating as well as the API. So that comes in really handy, especially if you have billable options on your API to be able to bill the right person. We have documentation. I don't know if you remember, but when we were looking back at our top menu here and it says documentation, inside of this Gravitee portal, this is where we would add documentation pages for like the whole organization if you wanted to be able to see that. So you just click this, choose kind of which API you want to import, or if you want to create a folder, or you have a markdown template, or you just want to write it in pure markdown. That's probably what we do here, but you can add that documentation there. If we come a little bit further, we get down to our settings, where just to show you where we're at, let's come back to the main section. This right here, this little header, settings is where we could override that. We could scroll down here to general, and where it says override homepage title, we could come and say where bird watching gets real, just for fun. We're going to go ahead and hit save down here. And now if I come back and refresh, we can see we've made that change if we wanted to greet our consumers in a certain special way, right? Last but not least, we have theming. Just before I leave this page in settings, there's a whole bunch of things you can customize here and you can do, like which dashboard channels you do, how you're deploying it, what your API keys are, where you're actually pointing it to, where your portal URL is actually sitting, so you could self-host. It's really cool, and there are a lot of different options here. A lot of them are very self-explanatory, but if you need any help or have any questions, feel free to reach out. Now, last but not least, we're going to talk about theming. And this is just what it says it is. It's our ability to add a theme and make it more custom, right? So I've got a fun little logo here. Let's go ahead and swap our logos out. I'm going to just change it. And I'm going to go to, let's do that one, 401 Labs. just for fun. This was our study group back in college, so I still have the logo rocking around when we would put out flyers and things like that. And the reason we did that, little side note, every computer science major, their first class is in class 401. And so since we all had to take that very same class in the very same room, we decided to name it 401 Labs so that we could help anybody new coming in study. But it's just a fun little side note. Moving back to what we were working on, our themes and colors, what we can do here is we can change our colors, plain and simple. We can update and change the way we want it to look. Let's do that one. We're gonna leave that black. Let's do a purple. Make it Joker themed. And I don't know how well this is gonna look. I am not a designer by any stretch of the imagination, but it is fun to change the colors and mess with them. Let's do blue. Let's do yellow, just for fun. Like I said, I'm not a designer. These probably look terrible together. But if we come up here and we save it, we come back here to our home page and refresh, you're going to be able to see some of those changes. And you can see it. We have 401 Labs up here. Not a whole lot changed. But as we come in and view things, we still have our black. This went purple. We can change it to be super green. So that's that black color. Let's go change that just so we can actually see a change and make it just blinding, just for fun. And we'll save it. And this allows us to customize the theme so that we can basically connect with our users. And now, there we go. That's the change we were looking for. Now our users can know exactly whether they're internal or external, know exactly whose portal they're looking at, what they're looking on. It adds to brand cohesiveness and allows our developers to have that kind of connection with us as well. But in a nutshell, that's a lot of what the developer portal can do. If you'd like an advanced tutorial, I'll be happy to do that, or how to set it up inside of Docker so that we can test out our application registration. That's another thing that's a little bit more advanced tutorial and kind of niche. So if you need that, feel free to let me know in the comments below. Thanks for joining me today. This was really fun. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask, and we'll see you next time.